This guy right here ain't been doing much lately. Just election coming up. Probate Judge Tal East. How you doing?
Good morning, KD. I'm
Mighty
doing fine.
dapper.
Well, I appreciate it. I try to put a tie on. Try to look presentable for folks when I come out. But yeah, tomorrow's election day. The November midterm elections. Governor, lieutenant governor, all your state offices on the ballot. A few commissioners. Those races are on the ballot. State Senate's on the ballot for. Well, there's opposition in half the county now that they've redistricted. We've got an election to run, and we've done our best to get ready for it. I feel confident about it. Our poll workers have stepped up. We've had our poll school this past week. We split that into 2 days when COVID came, and that's actually
smart.
worked out better. We have about 100. It varies. We throw some people in late, somewhere in the neighborhood of 155, 160 poll workers in
Really?
Tallapoosa County. So when you get that many people in a room, it's kind of hard for people to ask questions So we divided it for COVID just so that we could spread out more, because we still have poll school. We're required by law to have poll school. We still have poll school during COVID. We still have poll workers. We still had an election, right? People went and voted. So, but we found that when you got it down to, it ended up being about 80-60 this time, because some people could come on some days, some could come on others. But either way, when you got it down to a smaller group, people were more apt to ask questions, and to, that way that they walk away learning as much as they can. So I feel good, you see a lot of people. I had Birmingham News call me. What's left of Birmingham News call me. They're going to stop printing it.
Oh, really?
Right. There won't be a Birmingham News anymore.
Well, you used to have the Birmingham News, the Birmingham Post-Herald.
That's true.
They
had I used to read both of them, but only because Feinbaum's column was in the Post-Herald for a while, and Mama took the Birmingham News every day, so I read the Birmingham News every morning. The Outlook, of course.
How's your mom doing?
She's fine. She's in Dallas, Texas with Eddie Burton. Her husband.
Traveling.
Eddie's daughter lives in Dallas.
Okay.
Or out somewhere. It's kind of like if somebody says they live in Hoover, well, they live in Birmingham, as far as I'm concerned,
right.
or any of the rest of them. Well, I don't know that they live in Dallas. They live in that area. For us, it's Dallas, so she's fine.
You talk about the Birmingham News. Post-Herald's already gone. Because I remember, I'm a lot older than you, but I remember, and I talk about this a lot because it was always a neat, especially during football season on Saturday morning, to see the high school scores at the very top of the
on Saturday
page.
morning.
And then on Sunday morning, the ones that got in time, you had the college scores. Now the late games didn't make it, but all that's changed.
It is. So the same media group owns the Mobile Press Register, the Huntsville Times, and the Birmingham News, and they are ceasing print of all three. They'll all be online. They'll be online. But anyway, so a reporter called me, said, and it's fine. And we can get into that discussion. I love newspapers. I grew up reading newspapers. Some of them maybe more liberal than I am, but that's fine. People have their perspective. I enjoy reading newspapers. And I do think it's important for us to have somebody at these city council meetings, somebody at these school board meetings and things like that. And, I saw you a few weeks ago talking to Woody, and Mayor Bear, and talking about how he wished more people would come to the city council meeting when there wasn't something controversial coming on. But that's why you need some type of media there, because if they don't go, then the newspaper does. But anyway, they called me and they said, well, you having a hard time with your poll workers? You're having a real hard time. We see shortages all over the state. Do you have a comment on that? And I said, well, I wouldn't say we're having a hard time. I'd say we need more younger people.
Okay.
We may have a hard time eventually when some of these older people are gone, but for the time being, our poll workers stepped up and said we're willing to do it again. And so I would say that while we'd love to have a few more here and there, we're in good shape.
Let me ask you a question on how do you get young folks involved in that?
Well, I can tell you that I've spoken at Benjamin Russell. I've spoken at, because, we can have seniors do it. Merrill's probably brought it up when he's out here. We can have high school seniors do it. If they're over 16, they're a senior, they have a driver's license. They can't get paid right now. That would be volunteer hours. But I've spoken at Horseshoe Bend. I've spoken at Benjamin Russell. And I tried to speak at Dable. We ended up having a scheduling conflict. But I'm sure Mr. Porter's been very, very open, the county superintendent, to let me speak anywhere I want to speak at.
Real town?
I haven't been to Real Town either for the same reason. we're going to try to be more proactive about that. Some of that's on me.
Thank you.
But I would say that, having spoken to Benjamin Roast and Horseshoe Bend, our uptake hasn't been that good. So other than your parents encouraging you to be involved, and that's that's why I bring it up. If you're a parent of a 16, 17-year-old, it's 2 days if they come to poll school, but they're a volunteer. They're not, the poll workers get paid a little extra to go to poll school. We wouldn't be able to pay them anything, but if they're interested, until they become of age, once they can be registered to vote, then we can pay them. If you're a parent and you see that and you say, hey, mention it to your child, or encourage your child, because I think, if I go to a classroom and I talk a little bit about it, I mean, you're talking to a 16, 17-year-old, and maybe it doesn't hit home as much if a parent or grandparent talk to them about the importance of being involved civically and the importance of voting. And I think that's where you're going to get your buy-in from your younger people. You're not going to get it from people who are from just me going to talk to people. I'm happy to do that, but I don't think that's not going to hit home like your parents or grandparents or somebody who talks to you about how important something is. Then you're going to listen to them.
You like your job, don't you?
I do like my job. I do like my job. It's stressful at times, but I've said for several years out here, I will continue to say that it is the greatest honor and privilege of my life that I get to represent the people of Tallapoosa County. I think I'm from here. I think a lot of the people who put blood, sweat, and tears into making our communities, are Ellick City, New Site, Daveston, Davil, Union, making these communities, small little churches, what they are. And if they're willing to put their faith in me, then I don't know that I could be anything but honored. So I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep doing it if the people will have me. I intend to. That'll be March of 2024 for everybody out there in the Republican primary. But I'm going to keep doing it if people have me, and because that's just I can think of no better honor than to have so many good people put their faith in you.
I saw you going into this, and you've been out here several times since you've gone in, and I really do appreciate that. But I see how you have taken this job serious, and I think it needs to be taken serious.
Well, I think that there are certain rules and regulations that the government is going to require of the probate office or the revenue office or any of these jobs. I think our goal is to do the best we can for the people who are paying for it. Okay, I don't exist. None of our staff exists. The buildings don't exist without the people who pay for it. And so, we are not perfect, but we strive to be. And so we do the best we can, and I go to work every day trying to think about how we can improve the experience for the people who come to see us because they pay for it. And so, that doesn't mean we'll be perfect, but that means if you go to work every day with that in mind, that we're working for somebody else.
You're human.
Well,
don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. 67 degrees already on a Monday morning, November the 7th, one day before voting. Probate Judge Tal East out here with me this morning. And I asked him a question during the break, and he said, well, that's not an answer, but yeah, it is. I'm going to ask it again because I like your answer. I asked you, I said, because you talked about Birmingham News being a liberal paper. And I asked you, who do we listen to in the news today to get the truth?
Right, and I feel like that's a question we want it to be easy, right? We want to say, well, this is who's got it, and we'll pay attention to them, and then we'll be done with it. I was telling KD, about 100, years ago, newspapers were politically aligned. The Arkansas Democrat Gazette. It's called the Democrat Gazette because it was a Democratic Party, like a line paper, and there are several other ones that fit that bill, and they kind of evolved into the news media that we had in the middle of the century, and I feel like we're so polarized now that people really have. If you're interested in politics at all, if you're a voter, if you're somebody who wants to read a newspaper, right, and have a political opinion, other than the sports section, then you probably already are in a camp. There's so very few people who are not already decided which party they are, who they're going to generally support. There may be a few around the edges that our media has taken the same. They're responding to the audience. They're responding to their audience. So you've got camps that set up, and so you have more ideologically aligned, not necessarily partisan aligned, although almost, but ideologically aligned newspapers. And so you just have to, I'm a conservative Republican. I'm proudly so. I consume conservative media, but I also consume liberal media. You might learn something that you didn't know. I'll give you an example. Just an example hits home. All y'all been to Harpersville, right? What's Harpersville known for most of your life? Writing speeding tickets.
Yeah.
You ever notice they don't write so many anymore?
No.
They don't write so many anymore because they got sued by the ACLU.
Oh, wow.
Because they weren't conducting court in the right way, right? They write those tickets. You go to court to fight it, and they say, oh, okay, who here got a ticket? Guilty. All right, pay the. No, they do it all at once. Everybody here got a ticket. Raise your hand. Guilty. Pay the woman. Pay the clerk out front. And so they got sued by the ACLU, and that was covered by the Nation magazine, which is about as liberal as you can get. I mean, almost communist liberal. But I learned about that. I learned about that lawsuit by reading about it there. So I try to consume media as I have time, and you have to make the choices for yourself.
Right.
But I feel like you're going to have a hard time just saying, yep, I'm going to read them, and they're going to 100% tell me the truth, and they're going to 100% be unbiased about it. I don't think those days are gone. That's just not available.
That's why we have to listen to the candidate and hope and pray that candidate is being honest with us.
You got to use some common sense.
Yep, you're right.
And use some common sense. And the other thing is your candidate should be available to you. They not only at work, as I'm at work, but what if I wasn't in the office yet? I mean, I've tried to make myself available. My cell phone's on the internet. I had a disagreement with somebody one time on an issue, and they posted about it on Facebook, and they, just want to stir things up.
I know.
One of these type people. And I screenshot.
A lot of time you don't answer that.
I screenshot it, and what I did is when I saw him in person, I said, now my cell phone's on the internet. My cell phone is available. My email is available. And you know where I work. I said, if you want me to fix your problem or do the best I can within what's legal,
come to me.
Call me. If you just want to if you just want to stir things up, then there's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to worry about it because I can't please you.
Good answer.
But if you want to be in touch with me, I'm available.
Yeah.
And so I think that if you're available now. Obviously, when you're a U.S. Senate candidate, it's hard. They're not going to be as available. But for your local people, if you ought to be able to get in touch with them, you ought to be whether they can help you or not, right? You don't know sometimes till you call. So they ought to be available and open about where they are and what they're doing. And so that's that way you get to know the people that are working for you. And you don't have to worry so much about what the Outlook or anybody else says on Facebook about it. You have your opinion of that person because you dealt with them directly.
You pretty much went into when you ran for probate judge and when you went in, you pretty much went in with that open door policy.
Well, look. I grew up where you were able to get a hold of folks. I saw something recently. I forget what it was. We don't have phone books anymore. Right. Well, we do. I have one in my top right desk. I literally have a phone book. If somebody calls the court, they always call our number when they're looking for somebody. It might be the DA, it might be whoever, but they always call our number. We're kind of the main go-to. They call our number first because that's the number they call for tags or whatever. So that's just the number they call. And if you tell them, well, if you go to Tallapoosa County in the phone book. They have the numbers.
What is a phone?
They have the numbers listed for which office.
Yeah.
And which office is which. But so we don't have, we don't have a phone book anymore. I saw somebody saying, well, they shouldn't have their number on the internet. I was like, well, it used to be listed in the phone book. You just picked the phone book up, and unless you were one of those weird people who had unlisted numbers, everybody's number was in the phone book. So I don't see any difference.
Yeah.
If I don't want to answer my phone, if I tell people if I'm busy, leave a message. That's what answer machines or voicemails are made for. Leave a message, I'll get back to you. Sometimes I'm busy, believe it or not. But I tell people just call me, and that's you consume the media you want to consume, but the better you know people personally, the better you understand who they are as a person and their work ethic, and then you can let everybody else have their own opinion.
Think about what you were talking about, and of course, this is not politics, but these are friends of mine, LD and Cody Benton. You know,
That's my cousin.
And they're good workers, but their word is everything. When you call those guys, you need them to do some work. Most time they go be on. They're working, so they can't get to it. But they'll call you back, and that should. I don't care what kind of business, or even in the political world, you should live up to your word and call somebody back. That's the least you can do. You may not be able to solve it. They may not get the job,
Right.
but call the people back.
Well,
they appreciate that.
Just treat people fairly and honestly. You know, like they ought to be treated, and like you want to be treated, and that's the be all and end all of it. I did want to mention, I was talking to Commissioner Robinson over the weekend. He asked me, and I know Denise covered most of the amendments, but he did bring it up, and I did want to reiterate it. So the Fifth Amendment deals with orphans' business in the probate office. Okay, so a little bit of a rundown over that quickly. Mm-hmm. Prior to the Constitution in 1901, we had another Constitution. We rewrote it in 1901, and orphans' business is basically a holdover language from the previous Constitution that was included in the 1901 Constitution, but it has no function. Mm-hmm. And so the Alabama Law Institute wishes to do away with that. My position is I don't care. It doesn't change my office in any way. So if you get to the Fifth Amendment and you see it says about probate orphans business, it's an Alabama Law Institute amendment that will remove that orphans business language because it was a holdover that shouldn't have been included anyway. I just don't care. It doesn't affect my office in any way. Mm-hmm. And you know, we have the longest. I'll tell you, that might irritate people, but I voted no, and I'll tell you why I voted no on it. We have the longest governing document in the entire world. The Alabama Constitution is longer than any other governing document in the entire world, and we need to rewrite the Constitution of Alabama. There are some pitfalls that come with that, right? Mm-hmm. So let's just say you've got Kenny Dean's stringer business over here, mm-hmm. and you got you a carve out or economic development something in that Constitution. Well, there's a chance that if they rewrite it, maybe that's not included the next time. So think about all your powerful special interests that have these type of carve outs. They're opposed to it because they're like, well, we're likely to keep our little what we got, but we don't know, so we'll just keep our 1901 Constitution that is not functional. It's the worst Constitution. It is, and that's why it's so long. It has to be that way because it was built that way.
This guy does his homework.
And so I voted no on the Fifth Amendment because I think it's an end around instead of just doing what they're supposed to do and cleaning it up to start with. But functionally, it makes no difference. That's what I told Steve. Functionally, it makes no difference. So, you know, vote for it if you want to. Don't vote for it if you want to. I don't care.
I love your honesty. We'll be right back. Tallies, I want to thank you so much for coming out here. I know it's a busy day for you tomorrow. Get out and vote. Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and take a
photo ID.
Photo ID.
And if you don't know where you vote at, call the Board of Registrars. Call us. We'll make sure and let you know.
Perfect.